Okay, I think all systems say go. It's Wednesday and I'm Will, so you're here with Wednesday with Will. And I'm super excited today to introduce you to Jordan. Jordan Mendoza is somebody that I've been working with for months, but I've probably been stalking him for a year plus. So he'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So before we begin, type in where you're tuning in from, because I'd love to know how global we are. There's people from all over the world that tune in, and I just think it's fantastic. Let us know if you're on Team Live or Team Replay, because I find that most people watch this later on than they do live. And let me get started with today's program. I'm celebrating, and you've seen me on social media if you follow me, celebrating 1 year of the new Will, right? New adventure. I decided to step out from what was comfortable, what was known, and decided I was going to create something new. And I'm in the midst of creating it, but none of us can do anything alone, right? I'm out here talking about being a consultant, and I help teams, and I do workshops. I'm a coach, but I too need a coach. And Jordan Mendoza is somebody that I had watched on various broadcasts and different folks who had him on as a guest. And we started working together a few months ago. I'm going to bring him on in a second, but the process of working with Jordan was one where I'd realized, okay, yeah, we can't do this alone. We obviously need help, we need structure, and we need accountability. So let me bring Jordan up. He's over there in the stream. Jordan!
Hey, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
How are you? Thank you for being with us today. So I really want to just turn this over to you. So those in this group and this community that we've been building for a while, absolutely incredible people. I started this a year plus ago to try to, entertain myself, inspire myself, and just watching the community grow has been incredible. And the support that I get from the community is incredible. But today it's about blazing your own trail. And as a consumer of content on social media, LinkedIn primarily, I found you on various broadcasts. And I thought, wow, this guy, this guy's the real deal. Right? Don't we all want to do business with people? Humans do business with other humans. So I think we started working together, I don't know, Jordan, May or June. You've helped me tremendously. And I've invited you here today because I want to help celebrate my year of freedom, my year of blazing my own trail, and let the audience hear from you. So I will be quiet, turn the mic over to you. Why don't you tell everyone who doesn't know you, who you are, what you do, and then I'll just spend some time in the comments here saying hi to folks.
Sounds good, my friend. Well, hey, first off, I appreciate the opportunity to come on Wednesday with Will. Anytime I get to speak to an audience with the goal of hopefully inspiring them or impacting them in some type of positive way, that's always an honor to be a part of. So my name's Jordan Mendoza, and I am, first off, I'm a husband, I'm a father of 5 incredible humans, all the way from 2 to almost 18 years old. So that keeps
Jordan,
you
you hear
busy.
this all the time, and I tell you all the time, there's no way you do not look that age. But
hey, I will take that. I will take that any day of the week also. So thank you for that. But yeah, so outside of that, I am a business owner. My main company is Blaze Your Own Trail Consulting, where we help teach service providers how to build authority, monetize social media, but most importantly, we teach systems and processes and structure. And as Will was kind of saying a little bit earlier, we all need other people. I have several coaches, and if you think of anyone in time that's ever been successful, that they haven't done it alone. They've had someone in their corner. They've had someone that's cheering them on. And Will says, hey, he had my help, but listen, it takes 2 to tango, right? And Will did a great job of doing his homework, staying on top of things. And that's why he's seen the success that he's had, because it takes us as humans, we've got to put in those reps, and we've got to be consistent. We've got to show up. And if we're not, you did see during the program too, like what happens when you take a break for a second, right? You got to kind of build that back up.
Yeah, Jordan, I would say the one thing, watching you and all that you've done, and I think what sealed the deal for me, you were doing some sort of live where it was ask me anything, and I probably asked you 87 questions in the comments, and you were answering them, and you were answering other people, and I was like, okay, this guy is like the right fit. So being able to work with you, I would say the number one thing that you helped me with is I've got all this energy, all I want to say and all I want to do, but the process, yeah, we could say and talk all day long, but you've got to take those pragmatic steps. So before we go into the steps, I loved your story about how you named your company. I just love the name of your company. And why don't you tell everybody about how you started? And I know you've got the image right behind you, which I love so much.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I grew up in Portland, Oregon, out in the Pacific Northwest, and my, hometown favorite team is the Portland Trailblazers. So I've always been a fan of Trailblazers in the sense of sports, but also I've always been a fan of Trailblazers, people that have done things that have gone against the status quo, that weren't afraid to be innovative, people like Martin Luther King Jr., Abraham Lincoln, all these people that just kind of stood for something greater than themselves. And I said, man, what a great company name. So I got to really fuse the love of my favorite team, with my love of Trailblazers. And really, I think I haven't had a single person that has come up to me and said that it hasn't not resonated with them, right? I think blaze your own trail. I think it's just something that resonates with so many people. And it's also the reason why, I named my podcast, which I had my podcast prior to my company actually. And that's the reason why I named the show what it is as well. So
Yeah, I just think that it's so inspiring. And one of the things that, business owners, right? So many of us have just started our own business and we're in this incredible time, this period of time to lead and build a business from your heart is just really incredible. And the techniques that you teach, that you've taught me, really, you said it, it's putting in the reps, doing the homework, and just doing the focus, like these bite-sized pieces that you take at each time. Remind me, you before you blazed your own trail and started your own company, you did training. You were a formal trainer. What was that?
yeah.
How did that help you build your own company?
Oh, man, it helped me. I feel like I was, basically spent 15 years learning how to be a man, learning how to be a leader, learning how to fail. That's
Yeah.
really what my whole property management experience was. I actually moved up the ranks very quickly. I went from, the top sales guy to an assistant manager to a property manager, all in 16 months. And then was basically handed my own multi-million dollar property and kind of figure out how to grow up. I had to figure out what I was doing. And through all those experiences with 5 years as an on-site property manager, as you can imagine, I don't know if
Mhm.
anyone is that's watching this has ever lived in an apartment, but there's a lot of things that can happen, right?
Yep.
Some people get mad at you when they don't pay their rent. All of a sudden
Yeah.
it's your fault. Their car gets stolen and it's your fault, right? So
You're so
you're dealing
mean.
with a
Yeah, you're so
lot of
mean.
problems. Yeah, you deal with a lot of problems. So I did that 5 years. From there, I spent 8 years in training and development. So I was somebody that not only designed the content, but facilitated the content and surveyed on the content and after the content and built, video content. And so I did 8 years of that. And I also taught a 6-month leadership program that was predicated on the Myers-Briggs type indicator. So I'm certified in Myers-Briggs. And then we dove into a lot of things like strengths-based leadership,
Yeah.
emotional intelligence, so many things, conflict resolution, things that are very, very helpful when you're a business owner. So I kind of feel like I went through the full gamut in corporate, and that gave me the confidence to really understand what type of program do I want to build. And honestly, it wasn't what we were delivering in corporate, because in corporate America, what they typically do is they take the longest fire hose they can find, and
Yeah.
they turn that sucker on full blast,
Right.
and then you're just kind of drowning because you've got information overload. And so the approach that I took, and I think what you were speaking to, is we're going to cover 3 topics a week, folks. If you work with me, it's literally 3 topics a week so that we can do it together.
You
You can
can
do it on
count.
your own,
Yeah,
right? And then we can meet back to make sure that you did it, right? So you have this built-in accountability, but you're also learning and you're doing, right? We're actually taking action every single week, and then you've got stuff to do on your own, right? So you're kind of your own accountability partner. Like, I don't want to let Jordan down, right? I want to make
yeah,
sure I get this
exactly.
stuff done. And if you don't listen, I'm gonna be like, hey, what happened? Like, let's talk about it. What could we do better next time, right? So I think, the systems, again, to go back to it, is everything that I built was really structured off of what I did for myself, but I just put it into a program form that's actually consumable, actionable, and tangible to be done, right? Because that's what happens. I think a lot of people, I hear this a lot from clients. They're like, man, I invested X amount into this program and I never did anything with it.
Right.
And a lot of the times it's because you've got like 7,000 hours of content. Like, of course you didn't
Right.
finish it, and you don't have anybody there actually saying, hey, do this, and do this, and holding you accountable.
The having the 3 techniques to work on, or the 3 homework assignments, is super, super helpful because you conquer one thing and it builds the confidence. And so
That's it.
tell
Yep.
me, because I clearly remember the moment I knew I needed to change my life, right? I remember the day where I was standing, what I was doing, how I was cursing in my head, all those sorts of wonderful human things. We won't get into mine. How did you know? Like, what was it? Was it a moment? Was it an issue? Was it
It was
something you
probably
wanted?
about a year. It was like within a year's time for me. I was doing what I was doing, where I thought I was at a high level, and then this global pandemic hits, and and so there's a
So
lot
it
of
was the
things.
pandemic. I didn't realize. I didn't know your
Yeah, the
timing.
pandemic definitely had a part to play in it, for sure. And I think it was the gifts that the pandemic gave me. Or maybe it was the realization that I had as a result of the pandemic. Right, my gifts and my strengths were able to be to shine and elevate, and I was like, like, wow, there's something here. There's something. And so I was coaching probably about a year and a half prior to leaving. So the strategy that I had was, let me build up a client base and see if I can actually do this, right? So the pandemic gave me that time freedom, because I wasn't traveling in, like most places were shut down. I'd have this extra time in the morning, not commuting either way, and I would invest that into my business, and I would invest that into what I was doing, and I'd invest that into my podcast and growing that audience. And so, the time freedom that the pandemic gave enabled me to really strengthen the gifts that I have by taking action on helping people. And so I think it happened a lot that way for a lot of people, actually, Will, where they leveraged the extra time they got and focused on something that was important to them. And for me, it was, how can I actually do this? Like, is this something that I can do? And I was able to kind of prove that to myself.
So tell me about that, because I mean, we haven't spoken about it when we meet, but the pandemic has been this great catalyst to change so much. And there's all sorts of discussion around great resignation and whatnot. But I try not to look at things negatively. I try to look at, okay, I just decided I was a stage in life that I needed to change. Would what what was that factor? What was that it moment? Was For me, it was just an inner knowing, I need to do something new.
Yeah.
Did you just know that, or was it driven be from your children? What did you what
Yeah. I mean,
made
I
you drive?
think, having mentors and having, people in your circle that are way smarter than you, that have been doing what you want to do longer than you, or maybe what you're doing longer than you. Honestly, that's something that helped me. Iron sharpens iron. I joined a business group in 2017, but I didn't have a business. And so some people would say you have no business joining a business group with no business. And
Yeah,
I say the reason why I have a business today is because I joined a business group when I didn't have a business, and I surrounded myself with incredible humans that were there to support me. So I knew I was ready when they're like, "Man, like you have clients now, like you've got. I think you're ready for this. You can do this, you know." And when you have people that are in your corner that believe in you, that have confidence, even when you might be scared to death to do it, sometimes that can truly be enough, you know.
exactly, exactly. I think that um, I gave myself a year and a half of experimentation, and I'm a year into it. And the more you go into it, what you just said, Jordan, having people that are in your corner, right? We build a community, and the numbers, and people talk about vanity metrics about how many people tune in or follow you, which is great. But it's the real connections, right? I feel like we have a real connection because coaching, team building is something that's super personal. And you can't just put up a sign saying I'm a coach, I'm a this, if you don't have a real connection with people. How did you know you were able to connect with people? Because if you were doing training in a corporate world and doing this on your own, how did you know what led you to do
That started a long time ago, brother. That started when I was a little kid. You know, go really poor, going door to door and collecting cans with a smile. You know,
it?
It started in soccer when I was more interested in selling beef jerky and candy bars than actually playing soccer. I love fundraising more, and then that led into door to door sales and business to business sales. And so man, if you can relate to people, if you can connect with human beings on a personal level, there isn't any business that doesn't want you to be a part of that, in my opinion. Right? Those soft skills, eye contact, you know, being able to read people, being able to you know, how do you handle interpersonal situations? You know, how do you handle conflict? All of those things, man. I've been dealing with that stuff my whole entire life. And so I feel like, you know, I think my first role as a sales trainer was at 18, you know, in
Wow.
coaching people that were 21 years old and not really knowing what the heck I was saying, but people were attracted to the fact that I could effectively communicate. And so, you know, you asked like, when did it kick in? I said, you know, and I'd say I've been doing it my whole life. I've been, you know, building relationships my whole life. And that's something that I really pride myself on. You know, we got a guy in the chat, Brett Thomas, I've known for 18
Hey, Brett,
years. And,
just
you
met him
know,
last
and
week.
yeah,
Just met
you
him
just
last week.
met Brett last week, right? And we've stayed connected over 18 years, and now I'm the CMO of, you know, the web design company, and we're going to be opening a ton of franchise locations. But that's an 18-year relationship that something just came to fruition, and we haven't seen each other in a while. I'll be going to New Orleans very soon, but again, it all goes back to, you know, can you communicate? How are you with people? And then building relationships. You know, if you're about transactions, you're going to get a lot of transactions, folks. But if you
Right.
are about building relationships, then you're going to build those.
So Jordan, that segues into something that I'm thinking, right? Obviously I put my headline and what I had done for many years in New York. It was transaction based, right? 150 million guests in the
Yep.
time I did what I did, and $1 billion in revenue, big numbers. But to your point, I never did it for the transaction. I absolutely love being in the middle of people, figuring things out, and just building these relationships. So I'm trying to apply what I did in New York City on the ground in real life, trying to do it in a virtual world,
Yep.
right? Okay, connecting with people, throwing yourself in, surrounding yourself with people who know way more than you do, right? And who are super supportive. And in turn, I try to be as supportive as I possibly can. What is that? What has that been like for you? Because if I'm a coach, you're a coach, Michelle, David, there's a bunch of people here in the comments that are all coaches, but I don't see anyone as competition. We
No.
all kind of come together and we learn and we support, and that's fantastic. So your thoughts on that? Like, how do you deal with that because of the size of your community? It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same guy with everybody. That's kind of how I look at it, right? If you show up authentically as who you are with everybody that you encounter, that's where you're going to find the most fruit, because people don't want someone that's, on Tuesday they look and sound one way, and on Sunday they
Yeah, exactly.
sound a completely different way. So yeah, you said it best. Like there really is no competition, because here's the thing: I don't know what Michelle does. I don't know what David does. I have no clue. I have no clue what their systems are, what their processes are, what their background is. And so they can't really be competition. We can't really be competitors.
Right.
Now, I could learn about it, and I could maybe find a way to collaborate with them and see how we can add value to each other. But again, I really truly feel like you're going to get what you put in, right? So if you put in good, you're going to get good. And if you put out bad, you're gonna get bad, and that's what you're gonna attract.
My next question for you, and I'm asking folks if you could just pop any questions you may have for either of us in the comments. My question for you, Jordan, is this. Um, you put in what you get. You working with you helped me to see things in a completely different way. And once you see something, you can't unsee it. And I'm not going to give away your tricks and your program and all of that, but you really helped me now. I can't look at a LinkedIn page or I can't look at a calendar without thinking of all the tricks you taught me. What is the number one thing that you have found with working with people that they struggle most with? Because I'm sure somebody's watching here today, they struggle. You helped me with my struggle, but what's the number one thing you see?
Yeah, I think it's not putting in the reps. That's probably the thing that all of us struggle with the most, right? And you can put that in the context of reps with actions. You could put it in, what are you lifting at the gym? What are you consuming, right? So, but I think that's the biggest issue is people like to commit, but it's very hard for people to actually take that action. And so that's probably the one of the biggest things that I see with every client. It's like, oh, this came up or this got in the way, or but and again, you got to make it, if it's important to you, you'll do it. That's just kind of the way I look at it. So you just got to make it the most important thing for that moment, and you got to budget time, make sure that you've got the actual bandwidth before you commit to something, especially like a program like the one that I do, because again, we want to keep the ball moving down the field. We don't want to have to retract and go back. We want to keep that momentum going forward.
So I know many folks talk about this, you've talked about it, but I personally can't work with an individual or a corporation if kindness isn't their thing, right? And I think every business should just have kindness as part of their DNA. That's just the way it should be. But if I don't vibe with the project or the person or the organization, I'm now confident enough to say, I don't think this is for me. Because if I'm not going to be my best self in the project, then why should somebody spend their money or time on it? You do that well. Like, what's that been like for you to be able to say no? Right? You keep building a business and people want to work with you. Obviously, I can't imagine anyone who wouldn't want to work with you, but you would have to say no. What's your criteria? Mine's kindness and making sure you're treating the frontline staff with utter respect. What's yours?
Yeah, I mean, kindness is it's definitely a prerequisite, right? You got to be kind. You got to treat people well. And how did I learn how to say no? Is saying yes too many times. Saying yes too many times to the wrong people, and you will learn, my friend, how to say no. Because
Yeah,
it cost
great.
you
That's
it
great
cost
advice.
me way more time and energy and probably money and all of that because I said yes too many times, right? You don't want to be a yes person, folks. Like, you've got to get to a point. And again, these are the lessons that we learn, when you're out on the trail, is like sometimes you're going to get burned and you're going to remember what that felt like. You're going to remember that you don't want to feel like that again. You don't want to go through that again. And so sometimes you've got to go through the little bit of adversity to come out on the other side with a new perspective. So
So this leads me to another question. Then what's the one thing that burned you the most? And you don't have to reveal names or companies, but We've all had those. Oh my God, I
Yeah,
see.
I think it's for me. It was just a project. It was something that was supposed to come to fruition, and I spent a lot of time and a lot of energy, and I did all the things that I was supposed to do, and then it just kind of flopped and fell to the wayside. So it's ones like that. I feel like because again, time is something that we can never get back. So it's
Exactly.
so important that if we're investing time in it, that other people meet up their end of the bargain, and when that doesn't happen, it cuts you deep. It definitely makes an impact.
I'm curious because of your family, right? You're building a business and you do what you do. Do you, especially since your children um, span such a wide age group, are you seeing, or do you purposely go out there and teach your children to start their own business, do their own thing? Like, are those conversations even something that happens in your home? I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
so with my oldest, I've been one of the things I've done on the side for years. I mean, this is since the mid '90s. I've always sold sneakers, like collected sneakers, sold sneakers, collectibles, baseball cards. Like that's just I've been a hobbyist my entire life ever since I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and so he has been a part of that over the years, and so now he actually has sneakers that he buys and he knows how to flip them and sell them online, like on using the internet, not just eBay or something like that. He has all the apps,
That's
and
great.
so he knows that, hey, if I invest $110 into this shoe and I can sell it for 260, like I've got a nice profit that now I can invest into the next pair of shoes. So it's kind of cool seeing him kind
Yeah,
of watch me do it, and then to see him say, hey, for can I just have some money? I want to buy some, and then investing in his
that's
business,
great.
and so that's been pretty cool to see. And then my 11-year-old London, she's an all-out entrepreneur. I mean, this kid went with a couple friends door to door in my neighborhood and sold $54 in rocks
Rocks,
in
like
in an
from
hour and a half.
the
Yes, like
garden.
he found rocks outside, put a couple flowers in them to make them look nice, and they sold $58 in rocks in an hour and a half. So that
That's great.
kid is she's definitely an entrepreneur.
Oh, that's really, really great. That's really, really great. Well, I see we're coming up on time, so if we go a couple of minutes, I hope everybody forgives us. And I think there was a technical glitch at the beginning, so LinkedIn came in later than the rest of the group. So anybody who's watching this in the replay, know that you can find the full episode in YouTube or on Facebook in case something messed up in LinkedIn. Jordan, we've got a few minutes left. Tell us. I have your links here. Is absolutely someone I want to make sure that I put your website here because everybody should follow you on LinkedIn, but also check out your website. I love behind you. I can see it. I don't know if everyone else can. Brand Sharks. Tell us about the work and the collaborations that you
Yeah, yeah. Let me find where I am here. So yeah, Brand Sharks. This is a project I started last summer. It's exciting being a published author. I was probably the guy least likely to succeed in high school, and so hey, look, Mrs. Green, who caught me skipping class and as a freshman down at the vending machine. Look who's an author now,
look. I
baby.
published. I
Uh,
published.
but yeah, Brand Sharks. The book is my buddy Ruben Alvarez is the main author. There's a total of 11 of us authors that contributed to the book, and it is unstoppable strategies from industry leaders. So everyone in this book has actually built a brand on some platform from nothing, right? We all start with 0 followers. They've all built a brand and also built businesses. And so if you want to learn how to build a personal brand and do it from scratch, my chapter is called How to Blaze Your Own Trail, and it's actually
Perfect.
is a lot of my story and my journey. You'll get to kind of hear some things that you probably didn't know about me, and then I give some practical tips and guidance, so you guys can check that out. Brand Sharks, and no, I appreciate you having me on, Will. It's been great hanging out. I see all the amazing questions. Brian, Michelle, David,
Yeah.
Grace,
No,
you guys are awesome. Thanks for
it's
tuning
been
in.
great. So, Jordan, I really highly recommend that all of us, and I think in the months that we've been working together, I really realized we can't do it alone. As much as we can consume content and try to teach ourselves, find that person that can help you, right? That help you write a book, help you build a profile, help you build a website. Last thing I want to talk about is as we sign off, because Brett's here. Hey, Brett, I hope you didn't turn off. Your work with Rhino Web Studios, because I just find meeting Brett was a game changer for me. So I want to put in a plug for Brett
Yeah.
and Rhino Studios.
Yeah. So Rhino Web Studios, it's a 21-year-old full-service web development firm based in New Orleans. And I got a call from Brett a couple months ago, and he had just said, "Hey, listen, I've seen your growth on social. I see what you're doing and how you help." And he's like, "I need you to be part of this team, and we're going to be opening up franchise offices all around the country." So I'm actually the chief marketing officer for Rhino. We're so excited to be building, aspiringbetterhuman.com for you, Will. And we've got, over 500 amazing clients. And now we're actually going to be opening up over 100 offices in the next 5 to 6 years is our goal. We just opened our first one out in Phoenix, our first franchise. We've got one in North Carolina we're working on, one in Tennessee, and another one in Louisiana. So the ball is moving there. If anyone that's tuning in, if you've thought about, updating or upgrading your website, or maybe you need one, feel free to reach out. We'd love to check out what you've got going on and see if we can add value.
Yeah, and like you said, the customer service piece is important, right? Because there's tons of people, but you make decisions on what you need for your business based on the relationship, and knowing that you can work with folks like you, like Brett, and the service that you can get is just incredible. I'm super, super excited about launching the website. I find it really interesting because you're trying to build it and you're trying to do it on your own, and it's kind of like trying to make a banquet dinner all by yourself. Nobody could do all of that, and being able to have those step-by-step moments and the homework assignment, it's a game changer. So Jordan, I know we've reached time. We've got, I think we're over by a minute. Next week, David Hansen, who's been very active in the chat here in the comments, he's going to be the guest next week. So if everybody tunes in for David, supports him. But Jordan, I just want to thank you so much for all that you've done.
My pleasure.
For here, and I really do hope that people.
I think we need to acknowledge though too. So congrats on your year, but also I think someone just put in the chat, this is episode 17. So congrats, 17. Right? That shows your consistency. So kudos to you for keeping this going. I mean, that's the goal, right? Is like you got to keep the episodes coming out.
Yeah, and it's season 1, because season 2 is going to be in a different country, but that's in January. Teaser for the future, right? That'll be the next one. So thank you for that, and I really can't believe it's been 17 episodes. So thank you for being guest number 17, and we've got a bunch of people saying thank you and goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging.
Great. Thank you so much, Jordan. Thank you for everybody who's watching live and on the replay, and can't wait to see you next week. Take care. Thanks. Blaze your own trail, folks.